Hi everybody and welcome to my channel, Harmony Stitches. Here we talk about my crafting journey, which usually revolves around cross stitch with some knitting and crochet thrown in. This summer I have been knitting like crazy. I have done 1.5 pairs of socks. I've done 12 dishcloths. I have finished a sweater, the knitting of the sweater. I just need to construct it. And right now I'm working on a shawl and I have plans to finish all of my whips and then some. So let's go ahead and talk about what I did this week and then plans for next week. I have been working on the Bee by Amy Bruecken Designs. And this week I got some progress. So let's show you. This is stitched on 18 count white Aida. It was a pre-made, it's called pre-finished piece of fabric, but I tore the stitching out so that way it was easier to stitch on. So here is what I have so far. And as you can see, I have just the head left. I finished the last black section and then the last yellow sections, and I have the head outlined and I just have to fill in and put in the eyes. And then I have to just stitch it back up and stuff it, and it will be done. And there's a lot of stitches in here, but because now I don't have to count and I just have to fill in, I think that I can get this done this week. So I'm going to try my hardest because it's been, besides completing the knitting on the sweater from last week, it has been a while since I've had a finish. So I'm very excited about that. I am using the called 4 DMC, which is 444, 445, B5200 for the eyes, but there's only 4 stitches, so you could either not stitch them or you could stitch them in any white that you have, and then of course 310 for the black. Almost done, guys. I know it's been a while on that one, but I am almost finished. Oh, and I am in my secondary location today because it is 7 o'clock in the evening, because things just got kind of wild and crazy today, and so I haven't had a chance to film until now. And of course, by now, on one of the hottest days that we've had in Michigan this summer, there's no way I'm going upstairs in an air conditioned room to film this video. So welcome to my secondary location. So then that was my cross stitch for the week. I'm almost done. The knitting I picked up, if you remember from last week, my shawl, it is called Protest is Patriotic. I can't remember the designer, but of course I will have it linked below in case you want to go check it out. And this shawl looks like a flag. So you use red, white, and blue. You start with the blue and the stars, and then you work up and do the red and white stripes. Last week I had 9 stripes finished. 9. And of course they get bigger as they go, or get longer as they go. Each stripe you have, by the time that you finish each stripe, you have essentially added on 2 stitches. So every stripe, 2 stitches more, 2 stitches more. So they get longer and longer as they go. You wouldn't think that adding on 2 stitches or 4 stitches or, you know, ultimately 10 stitches after 5 stripes would be that much, but it is. It is taking me over a half an hour per stripe right now, and I'm not done yet. So last week I had this much done. I was here. I had the blue, all of the blue with the stars. I had 9 stripes in, and I got a whole lot more. I don't know if this, I don't even know how to appropriately show you everything, just because it's still on the needles and it's large, but I'm getting there. So I put in stitch markers every day. So after I complete a day of stitching, I put in a stitch marker, so that I thought it would be interesting, because when I first started, I did some math and figured I had to do about 7.5 stripes per day. Day 1, I did 10. So last Sunday, I put in 10 stripes on this shawl. The problem is, like I said, they get longer and longer and longer, and as the work week goes on, I get more and more tired. That's just the way that it is for me. I don't sleep well, I get tired. And so the other day I did 7 rows and that's it. 7. Today I've already done much more. I have done 14 rows. So I've doubled my progress from yesterday. So I just thought that it would be interesting to add the stitch markers to show how far I got each day. So day 1 was between the red and the white one. Day 2 was between the white and the blue. And then as you can see, they get shorter. Well, this one and this one are kind of even. I might have got more on this day. But then as you can see, they're getting smaller. Just because it's taking me a lot longer too. But then by the time I run out of steam for the day, I am toast. So, and then of course, when I get done knitting, I have all of the ends to weave in, and I am not looking forward to that. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do, it's kind of like backstitching and cross stitch. You either like it, you don't like it, or you're just indifferent. I don't like it. So what I will do is I will weave in some ends until I've had enough, and then I will set it down, and then the next day I will pick it up and weave in ends until I've had enough. And I'll just keep doing that until it's finished. So I have 2 more stripes, or 2 more rows on, I'm getting all tangled, on this red stripe, and then I'll move on to the white one and get longer and longer. I did put this stitch marker here on stripe number 45, so that way I don't have to keep going backward and counting again. So I know that's 45. So I have 45, 46, 47, 47 and a half stripes done. So I have 14 and a half stripes to go. So I'm going to continue working on that as well. I should be able to get it done this week without a problem, because even if I just get 3 stripes a day, that's 5 days. That will get me till Friday. So it's a lot longer than I anticipated, but it's taking me a half an hour to 40 minutes to do 1 stripe. So that's a lot when you have 62 stripes. And I think last week I misspoke. I think I said 62 stripes of each color. It's 31 stripes of each color for a total of 62 stripes. So thank goodness, because I don't think I would ever get done if there was 124 stripes. That's crazy. The one thing that I noticed though about mine versus the pattern is it seems like her blue section is twice as big. I know that in shawls you don't really need to do a gauge swatch, and I did not. I did go up a size, and I think that was the size that she recommended, and I just really did not like the fabric, so that's why I went back to a size US 5. So that could be it. My gauge could just be really small. My shawl looks smaller than hers anyways. I do tend to be a tighter knitter, but man, it just looks so different than hers. But I'm okay with it, because since I'm such a petite person anyways, if it's much bigger, then it just kind of overwhelms me, and it's just too big. So the last thing that I have to talk about this week before I talk about plans for next is I got this book from the library, Knitalong, and it's celebrating the tradition of knitting together, and it's by Larissa Brown and Martin John Brown. And the reason why I picked this up, because I watch the Lancashire, it's in England, and I obviously do not pronounce it the same as her. The Lancashire Stitcher, I will link her below, and she knits, crochets, and cross stitches as well, and she's really sweet, and she was knitting a project out of this book, and I'm like, that seems pretty simple and relevant still, and versatile. So I'll show you which one she was knitting. I put a bookmark. She's knitting Pinwheel Blanket. So it's just knit in a circle, and then the edging is seed stitch. I don't necessarily like seed stitch, but for just the several rounds that you have to do, it says 450 rows. I'm not doing 450 rows of seed stitch. I think that might be a typo, but I think that's so cool. just because you can use it as a blanket. They obviously, in the model picture, the child is using it as a cape. On one of them, it's not here, it's not in this one, but there's someone on Ravelry that has a modification to turn it into like a poncho. So you can like add sleeves into it. I don't know if I'll do that, but just this one is pretty versatile. There are 2 bonnets in here, or one's a hat and one's a bonnet. If I can find it really, I'll have to look it up in the contents. So give me a second. All right, so the first one is this hat. It's kind of like a pixie hat. And one of my former coworkers liked those. She has a photography studio where she does lots of things. She does a lot of things outside, but the thing that she loves, loves, loves to do is newborn photo shoots. We chatted about this, and unfortunately this one's too big, but I thought maybe if I used like a fingering or a DK and just use the same pattern, what size it would come out as. So I'm contemplating it. So maybe when I get some more free time and I get some of my sweaters caught up, then I will try that, because it won't take that long to make a newborn size hat. The other one was an actual bonnet. And of course I cannot find it in this book. This book it has chapters about knit-alongs, and there's a lot of reading about knit-alongs in here. So there is that. Jeez, I cannot find it. All right, back to the index. It's because I was looking in the back and it was in the front. Okay, so this bonnet. And you could really use any 2 colors. You could use one color. You could use any color ribbon. That one is called the Victorian Baby Bonnet. And she said yes to that one too. But she really likes the pixie one. So I'm going to see what I can do about getting that one made up sometime in the future. I have to put the sleeve back on. So this week I'm going to finish the bee, the cross stitch. Hopefully I can finish it relatively soon so I can start, get working on the next thing. I have no idea what it will be. I think it's time to bring the wheel back. I haven't used the wheel, I don't think, very much this year at all. So I think I want to bring the wheel back. So I'm going to have to sit down with all of my whips and go through to make sure that they're all added, because I do not think my wheel is up to date. It's going to be rather full. And if you remember, like, we got through all of them the last time I went through the wheel. So I'm hoping to be able to do that again. Except for last time what I did with my wheel is once I spun, I clicked the button to hide the slice. That way it would not come up again. That way I could get through all of them before I worked on another one again. I don't think I'll do that this time. I think I'll leave all of the slices on, so that way if it comes up 2 weeks in a row, I'll just get that much more progress. It will help push me toward finishes. And then I think so I'll do that through September at least. So 4 or 5 weeks. And then I think in October, I'll pull out all of my Halloween stitches that I have already started. Not any new ones, because I have plenty that are already started. And I will work through all of the Halloween throughout the month to try to push those toward finishes specifically. And then in November, I will do the wheel again. And then in December, I will pull out any Christmas that I have and work on those. I know I have a few, but I don't know how many. And then we'll go back to the wheel in January. So that's a kind of a big picture plan for the cross stitch. And then the knitting, of course, I'm going to finish the shawl ASAP. Hopefully it won't take me all the way till Friday. And then I think I'm going to start on the baby sweater, just so that way my overall plans do not run me short on time. I know that You know, you always say, oh, there's plenty of time until Christmas, but then boom, here it is. So I think I will finish the shawl and get working on the baby sweater, finish that in no time. And then I will go back to my WIP list. I'll finish the stranded sweater first, and then I will work on the zip line. So I am feeling really good that I only have 2 other knitting WIPs besides the shawl to work on. The sweaters have been like a burden since my family bought the yarn for me, and then it's just sitting there. Both of them are pretty pricey. They're not as expensive as like hand-dyed yarn. They're commercial yarns, but still they are pretty pricey, and I feel bad that my family bought me the yarn and the sweaters are just sitting there undone. So it's one thing if I use my own spending money, but then it's another thing if I, you know, have my family buy me the yarn and I don't get to it. So cross stitch, finish the bee, fix my wheel, spin the wheel as soon as I get the bee done. Work on that project. Finish the shawl, then start the baby sweater. And we'll see where the week takes us and how much time I have after I finish each of these projects. I hope that you saw something to inspire you today. I hope maybe you picked the book up from the library. I had to order mine because it was not in my local library. I had to order it from a different one, but your library should participate in that program as well. I'm going to get this back to my library so that way if you share libraries with me, then you'll be able to pick up this copy too. So I hope that you saw something to inspire you to either pick up a languishing WIP or maybe to try something new. And until next Sunday,